Hey, what is up, investors? I'm Jason. In this video, we're going to be talking about an electric vehicle stock that I actually really like and I've talked about for the past couple years, and that is Arcimoto, ticker symbol FUV. Now, this stock is very shorted, and I actually recently just talked about this stock in a video I made last week when I talked about the most shortest stocks out on the stock market. And as you can see, the whole list of all those stocks, they all close on Monday, June 7th, all in the green besides On Track. Now, Arcimoto in particular closed Monday, June 7th, up 18%. Very interesting stock, very highly shorted, and this is one that is definitely worth talking about. Now, the last time I made a video just fully on Arcimoto was back in 2020, but the first time I've ever talked about this stock in particular in a full video that I did going into detail about Arcimoto was all the way back in January of 2019. Now, at that time, Arcimoto stock was actually trading for around, I'd say, what was it? Around $4 or between $2 and looks like $4 a share during that time period. So I got in at a very prime time back then, and very interesting video. If you guys ever want to look back at my old videos that I've made on this channel, Arcimoto was one of the first stocks that I really was into talking about, as I was talking about all the different EV stocks that I really enjoyed investing into. Now, as time has gone on, Arcimoto has made a lot of different developments with the company. They've made, they've gotten themselves more closer to really being a good player within the whole, let's say, motorcycle space for EVs. Now, this isn't a vehicle that is a daily driver for the most part for people that live in all different parts of the country. This is more like something that is a casual driver, something that is kind of up there with like a motorcycle. It has 3 wheels. It is classified as a motorcycle, but it is also a really cool EV to actually be driving. So we'll get more into this video. We'll talk about Arcimoto stock. We'll talk about how it is a very highly shorted stock and why I think that there is some potential here with Arcimoto. So as we get to it, if you guys don't mind, please do me a huge favor. Please be sure to smash, destroy, annihilate, or gently press that like button, because it helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm, helps spread these videos to more people that might find it interesting. And also, if you want to be a Patreon and help support this channel and join the private Discord, I have one. The link is in the description. Thank you to all the Patreons. Now let's get to this. So Arcimoto, kind of a cross between a motorcycle and a car, but still categorized as a motorcycle class vehicle. But it only has 3 wheels, which is pretty cool. So it's got the stability. You don't need to worry so much about keeping your balance, but it is very open design. So like I'm saying, it is not for all types of different weathers, but something that is a very casual type driver for if the conditions are right. And you can do a lot of the basic simple things that you would do if you just needed to go from point A to point B and get there pretty quickly. But the steering and everything, as far as this vehicle works, it is the handlebar type steering. It is not a wheel. So it's just kind of like a fun thing to drive, and that was kind of the whole concept by this, and that's also why they call it their stock after this vehicle in particular, the FUV, the Fun Utility Vehicle, which is what it stands for. Now, if we were to look into what they're actually doing here, the vehicle has a top speed of 75 miles per hour, and the range on their battery goes up to 100 miles in the city. Now, the range, though, does differ a lot depending on the speeds that are driven. So if somebody is driving it, say, on the freeway, they're only going to get 32 miles of range. But if they're driving it on a road within the city that goes 55 miles an hour, they'll get 66 miles of range. So there is a big difference on how fast you actually travel. So it's not a long-distance traveler, of course. This is really just a simplistic vehicle to be driving. Now, these Arcimoto vehicles, they can also be changed into different types of designs. Now, on their website, they have different model types. They have their Deliverator model type, which is for a delivery type vehicle, of course, say like a DoorDash type driver, somebody like that. And it only has 1 seat and utilizes the whole back seat area and gives it a little bit of extra trunk space to be able to do that type of thing. Now, then they also have a type of style that is made for emergency type vehicles. The rapid responder is what it's called, and they even have a fire department in Oregon that they actually are utilizing this vehicle. Then they have their Roadster design, which is kind of looks like a side-by-side, but it is definitely made for just cruising along on the street. And then they have another feature available for fleets, and where they can just make a vehicle customized to what your fleet is. Now, this one in particular that they're showing here on their website for the Go Car, this is a company that actually does use Arcimoto's vehicles, or they bought a handful of them, and they do it for tourism down in San Francisco, and it actually has a route that is programmed in the vehicle and tells everybody, where to be driving, and do the whole sightseeing with GPS and all that jazz. So that is something that Arcimoto has actually been partnered with for a while, is the Go Car. But Arcimoto is saying that they will help brand these vehicles for whatever pretty much the need is for a type of fleet. So just another utilizing factor that Arcimoto has capabilities to do. Now, Arcimoto is an American company. They produce their vehicles in Eugene, Oregon, and they pretty much do everything as far as the build of the vehicle there. Even the body, putting the body together, all that stuff is all done in Eugene, Oregon, with their handful of employees. Of course, this is not a company the size of Tesla, but they have been manufacturing these for a while there, at least since I've been talking about them at their factory in Eugene, Oregon. Now, as far as where these vehicles are currently available to sell, they're available in California, Oregon, Washington, and Florida. And for the states that they're not available in yet, you can do a $100 deposit and pre-order it when it does become available in your state. Now, from what I know so far in California, you are not required to have a motorcycle license to actually be driving one of these vehicles. You could do it with your regular Class C driver's license and be able to drive it. All you have to do is wear a helmet, because it still is classified with insurance as a motorcycle. Now, me, Kevin, just recently did a video on Arcimoto stock as well, where he had the CEO of the company actually visit him, and he did a little bit of an interview. Now, in that video, they did not go into any sort of big details about what the current revenues are of the company, just talking a bit about what the future plans are. Now, Arcimoto does plan on going into autonomous driving at some point in the future. No real details shared of when that is going to be, but they plan on at some point in the future being able to push a button on your phone and the vehicle comes. But I think it's also very important to look at a company's revenues, which in this video I will be sure that I do show you a little bit of their revenues to show you that this company is actually making a little bit of money. Of course, not a whole lot right now, but they are making some money. So let's take a little bit of a look at over here. So when I first started talking about this stock was back in early 2019. Now, at that time, this company was making a little bit of revenues in that year, but they started showing even more revenues in 2020, where their actual total revenues for 2020 was $2.18 million. Now, here in 2021, though, the company is doing much better. Now, in the first quarter of 2021, their total revenues was $1.39 million, which was much more than they made in any prior quarter. Now let's take a look over at their current balance sheet, where their total assets currently are at $78.66 million, much larger than their previous quarter assets. And a good amount of that actually has to do with how much cash that they have on hand, where they have $46.65 million in cash, and they have a good amount of inventory on hand as well, with $6.59 million worth of inventory on hand. Now, their liabilities hasn't really changed much from the previous quarters. Their liabilities in this first quarter of 2021 was $6.56 million compared to the previous quarter of $5.57 million. So looking pretty good there, in my opinion. Now, Arcimoto is not a very large company. They have a market cap of $403.27 million, but the 52-week range of this company is a pretty big difference, and that's probably why there's a lot of the short interest involved with this company, where the 52-week range is between $2.55 and $36.80. Now, the public float of this company is 26.84 million shares, and of that, there is a very large amount of short interest. 32.7% of of the float is shorted, and that comes out to 8.61 million shares as of the last reporting of it on May 14th, 2021. So some interesting stuff there to keep in mind about this company. Now, of course, like all my videos, I'm not telling you guys to go out and buy Arcimoto stock. This isn't any sort of financial advice. This is just a stock that I like talking about. I've been talking about it for years, and it is one, in my opinion, that it's worth looking into, especially with what could be going on with the possibility of there being a short squeeze. Now, just looking at the trend of the stock, very interesting movements that it has been making, with the prices being between $35 here back in February, above $35 actually, and then now seeing the stock dropping down to some pretty lower prices around $6-7 a share, and then now we're seeing it on an upswing right now, where the stock currently is sitting around $13 a share. So it's making some pretty good good trends up, which is one of the big reasons why I'm talking about this, especially because all this short interest out there, and with all the short squeezes that we're seeing with all these different stocks. This is one that probably is one that we could be seeing the potential of a short squeeze going on with it. So with that being said, anyways, I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions about Arcimoto stock. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe. New videos coming out on my channel all the time. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next video coming very soon.